Los Angeles, 1968. No ticket sales, invitation only. 40 black belts are waiting in the dark corners of a private hall on the West Coast, surrounding the ring. A single question remains hanging in the air, standing like a bomb with a lit fuse. Is Ip Man real, or is all of this a show? Tournament fighters are leaning against the walls, eyes full of curiosity, faces like hard stone. Only senseis who have built empires in dojos, students who worship their masters like gods, and those working in different styles are here. They are all waiting to see if the rumors will maintain their reality under pressure. The air feels cold enough to cut like a knife. Ip Man enters. 1.72 meters tall, 58 kilograms. He moves like water flowing over stone. He has an aura that seemingly does not comply with the laws of physics everyone knows. Chuck Norris stands before him. 1.83 meters tall, 79 kilograms. America's most feared tournament fighter. The man who trains Hollywood's tough guys when they need to. Look dangerous on screen. So much so that he has never suffered a defeat in official matches and has never let go of the gold belt. He has a physique that strikes fear in those who see him. A man who has fought professionals from all over the world and has never let victory slip from his hands. The height difference between this duo is brutal, almost comical. Some of Chuck's students are smirking. They are in the pride of knowing very well who will win at the end of this fight. Their gazes say that this match will end very quickly. One of them asks in a way everyone can hear, "Is this the man everyone is afraid of?" Another voice cuts the tension, quieter but sharper, like a knife sliding from its sheath. "If it's real, prove it." Ip Man enters the ring barefoot. Black pants, white shirt. A very calm expression dominates his face. Chuck stands before him, professional but cautious. Every instinct tells him that something here does not add up. And there is a sharp tone in what he says. "Hit me." 3 seconds later, every black belt in that hall will realize that what they have believed in all their lives is a lie. Now, let's get to the event. Chuck looks quite hesitant. He spent years earning respect the hard way. Tournament after tournament, victory after victory. Air Force training in Korea, masters in Japan, black belts earned with blood and discipline. If Ip Man is not the person he is said to be, Chuck will expose it quickly. If it's real, Chuck wants to know how it happens. A tournament official stands at the edge of the ring, holding a clipboard. 2 coaches from rival schools are watching with their arms crossed, their faces skeptical. Ip Man does not move. His hands are loose at his sides. His breathing is silent and controlled. This is what makes him dangerous. Being calm is his greatest weapon. Because Ip Man had learned very well in the tournaments he participated in for years that those who cannot remain calm in the moment of a fight are the first to give up. Excitement and tension were conditions that caused the loss of control over movements. The fact that Ip Man is this calm makes Chuck suspicious. At that moment, Chuck throws a jab. Clean, fast, textbook form, the kind that starts a combination. Ip Man's head shifts 1 centimeter to the left. Just 1 centimeter. The punch cuts the air where his face was a heartbeat ago. Chuck recovers immediately. Professional instinct kicks in. He throws a cross with full commitment. The hip turns, weight is transferred, everything is technically perfect. Ip Man turns on his back heel. The movement is so small it's almost invisible, and the punch whispers past his chin like a ghost. This is not luck. Chuck feels it in his bones. Every strike he throws meets empty space. Ip Man is not even sweating yet. His breathing hasn't changed. His eyes are calm and focused. He can read Chuck very well. Chuck is faster than 99% of the fighters he has encountered. His hands are quick, footwork tight. Timing is at championship level. And Ip Man still hasn't moved his hands. They are just there, loose and ready, waiting for something. The crowd unconsciously leans forward. They feel something extraordinary is happening, but they don't understand exactly what it is. Chuck adds speed to his movements in a committed way. He attacks with a full-power cross, championship timing, the kind of punch that ends fights and wins trophies. 1. Ip Man takes a half step to the outside angle. Chuck's punch cuts the void where Ip Man's head was a fraction of a second ago. 2. Ip Man's weight shifts forward, flowing like oil, incredibly controlled. 3. His palm touches the pit of Chuck's stomach, a path of only 15 centimeters from preparation to contact. No wind, no shoulder twitch, no sign at all. The strike begins as if it emerged before contact existed. It turns from air into matter. Chuck's lungs shut down. Air blasts out of his body. He staggers 2 steps back. His hands instinctively grab his chest, trying to remember how to breathe. His diaphragm spasms. His knees tremble. The room becomes completely silent. Only 10 seconds have passed. No one in the hall is breathing. No one is moving. What they just witnessed should not exist in the physical world. Ip Man did not block Chuck's punch. He did not avoid it dramatically. He controlled the whole event with less effort than closing a door, standing at a single point, as if rooted to the ground. The referee steps forward, hand in the air, then freezes in the middle of the movement. He doesn't know what to say. Was this a strike? A point? What are the rules for something that shouldn't be possible? One of the rival coaches slowly opens his arms, his mouth slightly open, looking as if watching a magic trick he cannot solve. Someone in the back row counts under their breath, trying to replay the sequence in their head and break it down into logical, teachable components. In the front row, Ace, sensei who has been teaching for 20 years, slowly stands up and walks toward the exit. He is not angry. He is not protesting. He is just in shock. His footsteps echo in the silence. His entire understanding of power, leverage, and how fighting actually works just collapsed like a house of cards. Everything he thought was fundamental was questioned. Chuck lowers his hands completely. He stands there trying to understand what happened, breathing with great difficulty. He looks at Ip Man as if seeing him for the first time, as if looking at something he cannot name, cannot categorize, and cannot fit into his understanding of how the world works. He has been training since his youth. From his first day in the Korean dojo during his Air Force service. He took lessons from masters in 3 countries, practiced 10,000 kicks, threw 100,000 punches, and fought thousands of rounds of sparring. He earned respect from men who do not give it easily, those who measure worth with sweat and pain. He built a reputation as one of the most dangerous men in American martial arts. He was someone other fighters studied and tried to imitate. However, what they experienced just now overturned all of that. Reputation and respect were floating in the air like a feather. While trying to breathe on the ground, the only thing he thought was how he would erase this black stain from people's minds in the rest of his life. What he experienced was unforgettable, an event contrary to the laws of physics. In just 3 strikes, maybe 2 seconds total, This man knocked him down and took his breath away without sweating, without even looking like he was making a special effort. It was a quite humiliating situation. Thoughts of, I wish this moment had never happened, and I had never met Ip Man, were passing through his mind. At that moment, Ip Man stepped back, corrected his stance with the comfort of completing his performance, and greeted the surrounding fighters. He stood with a facial expression that was not arrogant or condescending, not boastful. There was only acceptance. A simple gesture of respect among warriors who understood what had just happened. Chuck does not feel embarrassed. That's the strange part. This is the part that surprises him most about his own reaction. He doesn't feel shame, anger, or defensiveness. He carried none of the emotions he expected. He felt something completely different. Respect. A deep, bone-level respect that transcends technique, style, or who won or lost. And hunger. That hunger for learning that arises when you realize the book you've been reading all your life is incomplete. That moment when there are regions you didn't know existed, and someone shows you a compass pointing to them. While every eye in the room is locked onto them, he walks toward Ip Man. Every single person knows they are witnessing something that will be talked about for years, something that will become a legend. Chuck asks, "What was that thing you did?" Ip Man's answer is calm, almost gentle, like a teacher explaining a simple concept to a curious student. Not speed, timing. Chuck does not hesitate. He doesn't need to think. He doesn't need to protect his pride or reputation. Teach me. Ip Man smiles. Not the smile of someone who has proven a point, won an argument, or shown superiority, but with the smile of someone who found what he was looking for, discovered a kindred spirit, someone who values growth more than ego. You teach me too. Ip Man explains once and rearranges the stones of Chuck's understanding of fighting. Most fighters give a signal before making their moves. They shift their weight early, they tense their shoulders before punching, their hips before kicking. These are tiny movements, fractions of a second, but they provide a roadmap of what is coming. And if you can read the map, you don't need to be faster than the technique itself. It is enough to be faster than the intention behind it. You intervene before thought becomes action. You fill the gap between decision and execution. You use your movements sparingly and eliminate wasted energy. There is no excess movement. Everything is reduced to its core essence. You narrow the gap between wanting to hit and the actual act of hitting. You destroy the distance between thought and impact. Chuck listens as if his survival depends on understanding every word. His entire framework for fighting is being rebuilt from the ground up. Ip Man is not lecturing or showing off. There is no arrogance in his voice. He has an idea that this world champion standing before him should be better. All the movements Chuck makes, the speed and adaptation, are completely wonderful. But there is still something missing. Everyone in that hall knows this. Months pass after this event. They start training together in Chuck's backyard in the San Fernando Valley. No cameras, no journalists, no audience, no witness to what happens when two masters decide to tear down their egos and build something new. Just two men, a worn heavy bag hanging from a tree, and an obsessive desire to get better. Ip Man brings his wooden dummy, scarred and notched from years of blows. Chuck brings resistance bands, stretching routines, and a work discipline at a pathological border. They spar for hours in the California heat. Shirts are soaked with sweat, muscles are burning. They push each other beyond what they thought was possible. This is not a master-student relationship, it's a partnership, and this is what makes it rare. Most legends train against each other, not with each other. They compete, they guard their secrets, they protect their egos. Ip Man and Chuck do the exact opposite. They open up, they share, they fail in front of each other, and they accept it when something doesn't work. One day, Chuck throws a roundhouse at Ip Man's ribs at full speed. The kind that won him championships, the kind that ends fights in the second round. Ip Man catches him, in the middle. Ankle in his hand, like a steel trap. And he shows Chuck the exact angle and response from that first night. The mechanic that collapses Chuck's balance. This time, Chuck feels it from the inside. He understands the timing, the weight transfer, the angle. He sees how Ip Man's weight shifts before contact, how his hips rotate to create the pull, how his hand position controls the angle. They practice repeatedly until it becomes body movement without thinking. Ip Man smirks, sweat dripping from his chin. Now you have it too. Chuck catches his breath. But you still can't kick high enough. Ip Man's smile fades, his jaw tightens. I know. One afternoon, they are practicing the side kick. Scorching sun, shirts off, legs burning. Ip Man throws a kick at the bag. Fast, sharp, clean. He misses the center by 1 centimeter. Chuck steps in, adjusts Ip Man's stance, pushes his hips slightly forward, rotates the sole of his foot 15 degrees. A small adjustment, barely, visible, but it changes everything. Ip Man recovers. He prepares. He fires. The bag flies back as if hit by a car. The chain shakes violently. The impact echoes like a gunshot. Ip Man looks at Chuck. Admiration in his eyes. You gave me 2 more centimeters. Chuck smirks. And you gave me 2 seconds. This is the exchange. They are teaching each other to think differently, to see a fight as a conversation where the best listener wins, to remain humble when the world calls you a master. The lesson is not about who won the exchange that night in 1968. It is about what happens when you are good enough to be dangerous, but smart enough to remain teachable. Ip Man entered that ring with everything to prove, but nothing to protect. His reputation was at risk, but his ego was not in the way. Chuck could have defended his territory, protected his reputation, and dismissed Ip Man as another actor playing a martial artist. Instead, he chose the harder path. He chose growth over comfort. This is the question, and it is more specific than growth against ego. When someone shows you a level you didn't know existed, when you see that you looked at your work and realized you missed something fundamental, did you protect your pride? Or did you say, teach me? Did you defend what you've already built? Or did you risk it for something greater? If this touched you, subscribe. Your teach me moment might be waiting for you.